have the same morbid question. What was my experience of having eaten the flesh and bones of that man? More than an act of sacrifice was an animal instinct of pure survival. So I started cutting what was the easiest way to cut. All of you need to experience what I have experienced. And then you will know. After great effort, crack open his skull. You can ask me anything you want. You can judge me. You'll talk about me and my actions. I want to be the one giving my flesh to someone to live on. The act of kindness of that man is the greatest act that any human being could do. He passed away 4 days before they found me. He found me and saved me. I even drank that blood. It was not an act of cannibalism. It was an act of survival. It all started when the pandemic hit and my parents ended up in the hospital in very critical conditions, especially my father. I was wanting to visit them, but the airports were all locked. No commercial airplanes were allowed to fly. Finally, after several days, they opened the airports and I immediately tried to buy the first ticket I could to travel to Spain. So after I bought the ticket, I saw that it said Friday 13th. I was like, I don't like this. Not because I'm superstitious or something like that, but I believe that there's always warnings, and I didn't like that. Not only bad, but good as well. So I tried to cancel, and tried, and I couldn't. I didn't realize there was a ticket once you buy it. You cannot cancel it. And again, I didn't like that either. So I decided to forget about that and just thought about me being there with my parents. But the week before I traveled, a week before I was supposed to get into that plane, a storm started to hit. A very light storm, but rain stopped falling and falling and falling. It was getting stronger, and I didn't like that. And again, in the back of my head, Friday 13th came back again to hunt me down. I was like, oh, is this another bad sign? So with this fear, I decided to talk to my wife, see if I could follow her advice. If I needed to cancel this trip, I would do so. But instead, she smiled and she looked at me and asked me, what will you do if your parents happen to die because they COVID and you're not there with them? You will be able to live with that in your subconscious. After that, I say to myself, enough of childish superstitions and this little storm. I don't care, I have to be there. Because I hated bye-byes, didn't want my family to see me emotional of anything like that. I decided to take a taxi to the airport. But my wife insisted and insisted that she wanted to drive me to the airport, and I say, okay, fine. This was the silence between her and me the whole trip to the airport. I was looking through the windows and that storm didn't look good. The dark clouds and everything. I make a joke about it. I show a bravado, like everything was fine. But my wife could sense that inside of myself I was having this struggle, I was scared. Finally, we got to the airport. And even though she was wanting to stay with me, waiting for the airplane departure to happen, I said no. And I gave her a hug. And this hug I gave her felt like that could be the last one. And she felt it too. And she looked at me and she said, look, you're going to see us again. You're going to come back soon. It's all good. Don't worry. And I said to her, yeah, it's all good. Don't worry. I just want to let you know I love you. Yeah. So I gave her another hug and she drove off and I saw her leaving. But I felt these tears falling from me. And it was people back and forward, nervous, like a bunch of people. And I finally reached the check-in desk. There was this young lady trying to cheer up everybody. And she tried to do the same with me as well. And she said, hey, have a happy trip, sir. And I'm looking at her, yeah, right. Thank you. And back in my head, the last thing I was thinking it was like a safe trip, all this mess around. And so I got into the security area. I dropped all my things. I took everything off. I thought it could be metal detected. But like always, the machine beat it. And the security ended up checking me out up and down, like if I'm a criminal. I even joke about it and they laugh. Anyway, I managed to sit down. I decided to relax because it was like an hour and a half before the actual departure. And there was no relaxation at all because I could see through the windows, the storm hitting so hard and the lightning. And I was more nervous than ever. I just wanted to get in a flash to Spain, but I needed to go through this somehow. So I decided to read a book that I brought with me. And right before I enter the airplane, I have this belief that I need to connect with the airplane or the car or whatever transportation I am in, that my life depends on, and I touch it, like an energy connection. That's my belief. Anyway, I did that. I touched the airplane, then I got in. I was guided to the window, but that storm kept hitting hard. Back in my head, I was like, please, can an announcer say this flight is canceled? I didn't want to travel under that conditions. And I was right. And finally, they announced that the airplane was about to take off. So I was hoping that once we reach a better altitude, they will be away from the storm. But it didn't. That departure was the most horrible one I ever experienced. The turbulence was so strong. Everybody was in silence. We were driving on into the chairs. But then finally, after various minutes that felt like hours, we reached an altitude that the storm couldn't reach us anymore. I even opened the blinds again to see, and I could see far away the storms and the lightnings and everything. And I felt relief. So then I decided to, like the rest of the people, to relax. Told us that we could lose our seat belts. Some people went to the restroom. I decided to try to watch a movie, but I couldn't find anything interesting. So I took a little nap. So a turbulence woke me up, and this was worse than the one before. And I felt dizzy. I felt like I was wanting to throw up. I went to the restroom and locked myself in, and it was the turbulence. All of a sudden was shaking. Tried to grab on, make believe nothing was going on. All of a sudden, something hit so hard, the airplane. This horrible noise, like twisted metals. The thing is that I hit my head and I forgot what happened until I opened my eyes because I was wet. This cold water was covering me, and I don't know how long did pass. I know now, but at that time I was totally lost. When I realized that this water covering into my knees, and I was locked into this restroom, and everything was silent, and it was shaking at the same time. It gave me this sensation like I was floating. What's going on here? And I desperately tried to open the door, and I kick it and I kick it. Once I opened the door, more water came in. It was seawater. I couldn't see that much because it was nighttime, but I was in the middle of nowhere. I started to use the board to reach what I thought was a chair, and right below I could find a life jacket. Right below that chair. And I put it on. And that helped me to reach what I thought was a lifeboat. And it was. I did look around to see if I could find any survivors, but scattered around, it was just pieces of airplane. I covered myself with a plastic blanket I found there, just to rest and try to think what I could do. But then the waves again became more and more aggressive, and I saw that a new storm was coming around. You could see the dark clouds from the distance, caught right in the middle of the ocean. It was nighttime and I was trying to sleep when I heard a horn. And I immediately looked around because I thought maybe it was a ship around. And yes, it was a cargo ship. I felt I was safe. I stood up in the boat and screamed. Nobody answered. And the celebration became a hellish nightmare. Because that cargo was so fast and it was so big that created waves to turn my boat upside down. And I fell off in the water and tried to grab on and turn it around. And I fought for my life while I saw that cargo leaving me behind. What was supposed to be a celebration became a sad, long, deadly experience. Finally, after struggling, managed to turn the boat around. And I was so tired and devastated because I lost what could have been the chance to avoid what happened. Next day, something woke me up. It was not the sunlight. It was something shining not far from where I was. And I could swear I could see somebody there. I was not sure, so fast as I could, I tried to approach. What it became, the encounter that would change my whole life. I pulled him the best I could into my boat, but it was late already. He was dying. And he looked at me, tried to say something that I couldn't understand. But then he reached out of his pocket a picture and gave it to me. It was a picture of his family. Next day, he clearly said his last words. If you need to use my body to survive, do it. And I was so surprised that I laughed. I say to him, look, they're gonna come and pick us up in any moment. They're gonna find us maybe in a couple hours from now. And by the time I noticed that I was talking to myself and that he was dead, I realized that that was the greatest offering any human being can give to another. And what I thought was a joke at that time became my reality, became the choice to live on. In every interview, every single reporter or interviewer, they just want to know one single thing. They have the same morbid question. What was my experience of having eaten the flesh and bones of that man? Worthless parasites. I answered them back. That life is the greatest and most important treasure they can ever have. And that man, he gave his flesh to me to survive. I didn't took his flesh. He gave it to me. And I found his family and gave that picture he was holding. And they cried and said thank you to me. Even though they knew what happened. So I don't care what you have to say or think or question me. Go and ask his family what they think, if you still have a heart to ask them. I say this and I will say it again. It was not an act of cannibalism. It was an act of survival. And I survived. His whole family knows about it. And they respect me and supported me, even against your nasty questions. They're more human than any one of you. So go on. Keep the gossip while I keep life. While I'm saving lives of people that you don't even believe they're humans. My final decision, after struggling and trying to fight off all my religious point of views and everything I was taught since I was a kid, I dropped it all. I did because I needed to choose life. Before I even dare taking a bite of that saint, show him my utmost appreciation, and I thanked him to share his life with me. And I started eating with the utmost respect his thumb, then his hand, then his arms, his legs. More than an act of sacrifice was an animal instinct of pure survival. The desire to live versus my beliefs, my gods, my culture. All that lost meaning when facing death. Each bite I took from that man became part of my life. So, after eating the easy parts of the body, like the hands, arms, and legs, I did have no other choice than to start eating what it was almost unbearable. But those parts were the most nutritious. The ones who really gave me the chance to survive. It was repulsive to feel the flesh of another human, a fellow human being. But at the same time, my body felt nourished. I was crossing the line, I knew it. And my body needed it. I needed it. And I prayed for him in appreciation. Forgiving me what others will call a sacrilege. The most horrible sin. So I started cutting what was the easiest way to cut. It was the stomach. After I ate a couple bites of it, I vomited. And after that, it was the kidneys, the liver, And finally, the heart. I even drink that blood. Not only as food, but as the only source of liquid that could satisfy my thirst. It nourished my body with proteins and vitamins needed to survive. After great effort, cracked open his skull and ate the most precious protein from his body, his brains. Many months I survived thanks to him, thanks to his offering. Not only I dropped my religion and my culture, but my lifestyle as well. Because I choose life, so I ate his meat, but I preserve it as well by cutting slices from his legs and arms and displaying them all around the boat, throwing some salt water on it. And with that, it dried off. Gave me the chance to survive all that time until it was all over and only his white bones were left. This harsh experience got me. How every single regular, normal thing, like a glass of water, a piece of bread, a soft bed, how every single little thing that we take for granted, I realized how important it was. And how every single human being around me, including someone selling donuts, the water guy in the street, without saying my family, the whole society that I was living from, my job, my family, all of it gone in an instant. It was when I finally realized the true value of things that we don't even see. Days after days passed, and I did no longer have food, not even water. And I screamed in anger, asking why nobody had found me yet. And I looked around and nothing was there, just the waves, the angry waves of that hungry ocean, and that blue sky that became, again, dark gray. All what I did was to call another storm, and it got me. After 5 days of pure nightmarish storm, that I thought it would be it for my life. After that horrid storm, the sun came out. And like nothing, everything was calm. I did manage to collect some water thanks to that rain that fell on me. But it was then something incredible happened. I saw an airplane. I screamed my lungs out. And I swear that airplane saw me. And the airplane went around. So there was no doubt that they saw me. I was crying of happiness. I was safe. It was just a matter of maybe hours or minutes that would come for me. So I drank all the water I collected from that crazy storm and my celebration. But then an hour passed, 2 and 3 hours, to the next day, and nothing. Not even a miserable bird. What happened? I asked myself. I look at the skies and I scream, why, God? You're punishing me like this. What did I do to deserve this? You are the devil. Two months later, I did not have not even a single bite, not even water. And yet, they managed not to find me. How that could be even possible? Even the airplane that flew around should have seen me. What happened? What kind of idiots are in charge of saving people's lives? Maybe they didn't even care anymore. That's why I decided to become the man that would save lives. I thought at the beginning I was being punished by God because maybe I was a bad son. But then I realized that it was that more people like me was needed to really care about saving people's lives. Yes, all of you need to experience what I have experienced. And then you will know what it is to become a true survivor and a true human being. Now I know why did I suffer what I suffer. So then I could open my eyes and not be like those people that couldn't find me in the Atlantic Ocean. I found my mission to save people so that no one else will have to suffer what I did suffer. After several days without water, I was so dehydrated that desperately jumped into the water trying to drink. I knew it could be certain death. But something stopped me of doing so. I jumped back into the boat and I drank my own urine. After drinking my urine, I realized that I needed to find a solution for that, for the lack of water. It was imperative. It was then occurred to me to use a plastic bag. I think I saw it on one survival channel or TV show that using a plastic, you could create water, especially when during nighttime, the plastic gets cold, and then during daytime, the heat, it will create drops of water that will help you to survive. That's the way I made it, drop by drop. More than a month passed, almost 2 months. And I still was alive thanks to the flesh of this man. And I wonder, why nobody has found me yet? What did I do that I am in this horrible situation? After all what I did to survive, I'm still gonna die anyway. Let me end this pain right now. I felt that if I'm gonna die, at least I should die on my own terms. And I did jump into that dark and cold ocean. It was then I heard a voice of a man. A very familiar voice. It was him. My father. I don't know if I was sleeping or I was dead already. But I saw him. He was there. He grabbed my arms and looked at my eyes and said to me, "Live, my son. I give you my life." I was wanting to grab him, but he was gone. What I felt, it was this courage and this desire to survive and to not to give up. But at the same time, I felt that he was gone and that he said goodbye to me. It was then, 3 days later, that I reached the shores of the Canary Islands. And I made it. I made it. I survived, Father. When I woke up, my mother and my brothers were there, but he was not. He passed away 4 days before they found me. He found me and saved me. Before he left. And I thought I would be saving him. But he did so. with a smile. My Father, He is my God and my Savior. Thank you. Thank you. I still remember his words I have engraved in my heart. And I will, into the day I die, that should live on. That he will give me his life. So now, I live to fight for his legacy. I'll be the one saving people now. Like he did to me. Thank you, Papa. Thank you. She said that my father asked her permission to look for me. And she said to him, "Go look for my son. I stay here and welcome him back. Just bring me back my son." It was then he passed away. And then her turn came. After we cried and laughed together. A month later, she passed away peacefully. And she said to me, "I'm going after your papa. I don't want him to be alone. Thank you for being the son you are. We love you." And at the end, the message I got from all this trial, it was that I have to believe in myself and that I cannot give up. Because my survival, it was the victory of hundreds, if not thousands of people in the future. And finally, when I found my mission, that is to save other people's lives, is when I could say, I truly understood. Why did I suffer what I suffer? Do you have a chance and opportunity like that? I don't think so. But if you do, remember what I'm going to say. You can ask me anything you want. You can judge me. You'll talk about me and my actions. But at least, respect my family, my wife and my kids. because the other reason, the main reason, I decided to survive and live on. So, bring it. Any more questions? My answer is yes. I will do what I need to do to survive. But better than that, I want to be the one giving my flesh to someone to live on. Someone that will be able to reach his family and embrace them. Someone that will find a mission to save other people's lives. The same way that I found my way. And this is a message for all of you that still have your parents alive. To embrace them and to enjoy every minute that you can, now that you can. Because I no longer have them around. Even though they live within me, I still desire them to come back alive. Enjoy this moment that might never come back again. And the people that truly loves you back. This month is the 3rd anniversary of the tragic events that happened to me and all those people that died, that sink in that ocean of despair. Reason I decide to keep this spirit, so then I will never forget those who lost their lives. Every time I see myself in the mirror, I see them all. And to remind anyone that meets me that the man that survived 3 years ago is not the same man that is here today. That man really died. I was reborn. This beard represents my true self, and it will be with me till the day I die. I will honor all those victims, and I will bring them with me with every single action I do, every single word, every single breath. The act of kindness of that man is the greatest act that any human being could do. To give his own body and flesh to help other fellow human beings to survive. That was a selfless action, and I honor him. So every year, to honor him, my family and his, we take a boat right there where he gave his body in sacrifice to save my life. And we bless him, throwing all kind of beautiful flowers to where he will rest forever in peace. And this is my story.